Uh, at the outset, I would like to salute each one of you, especially the organizers who have created an inclusive environment, having a variety of professionals here together. I think we have been talking too long about what education can do, should do, how we should introduce technology, but we are forgetting one very large segment of our population, and that is children and adults with disability. How many of us since morning have included children with disability? It's so difficult to digest this, believe me. We keep saying inclusion, inclusion, Disability Act, Right to Education Act, UNCRPD, but where is the implementation? Here also, I think since morning it was only Mr. Mehrotra who had the perspective of what assistive technology means. So when we are talking of assistive technology and skill development, I think our perception should be to consider how we can provide assistive technology for making inclusive education a reality. I'll just give you an example. When we started under a tree, there was a woman who used to bring her daughter in her lap, and she was 12 years old girl. It was so difficult for her to bring her every morning and take her back every afternoon. In 3 days' time, Jugaad technology came to my mind, and I said, let me put 4 wheels in my dining chair and give this chair to her. It worked. So it's a question of facilitating with whatever technology it is. The question I asked about software, was basically my concern for the disabled. You're introducing everything, but are we looking at the accessibility? And if it is not accessible, the work is half done. I just want to give you a few examples to just tell you inclusion is possible, is required, should be implemented, and we have to look at education with a holistic approach to make vocational training a part of the curriculum, to have sports and cultural activities we generally have, but for having children included with disability, we need to have structured sports, structured cultural activities, and many other things which are generally left out in our curriculum. And when we talk of this technology, I think disability is not inevitable. After all, when we can't see, we do get specs. We do have many other things like hearing aids and wheelchairs and everything. So how and why should we not think in terms of using these assistive devices for including children in school, in college, and for any other course, professional course? Inclusion, after all, is a journey. We cannot say this is it. It is not a destination. And if we look at the philosophy of inclusive education, it rests on giving equal opportunities to an integral group of persons with and without disability studying together. When we didn't know about this hydraulically operated ramp in a bus, we developed a manually operated ramp in a bus. When we didn't know anything about accessibility, we were just innovating many things on our own. From where did it come? It came from heart. It came because of concern. It came because of sensitization. Now, if we look at life skills education, all we need is appropriate policies, resources, training, support services, reasonable accommodation, holistic approach, barrier-free environment. Barrier-free environment, of course, is the most important one. And we also need transport which is accessible. And when you cannot afford the most expensive ones, you can have the Jugaad technology again in many ways. What we need is involvement of parents as learners, teachers, decision makers, and advocates. We need adequate, interactive, and fun-filled classrooms. We need development of flexible curriculum to reduce academic load. This is also being done now with CBSE and everybody, NCERT, giving extra time and allowing the visually impaired usage of calculators and everything. And we also know that despite the fact these facilities are granted, most of the people are not even aware of it. So we have to create awareness about it. And then there are coordinations required between government departments and schools. Whenever we send our children after the 8th class to government schools, the first thing is, our infrastructure is not there. What do we do? It's such a simple thing to create a ramp. Know the technology, 1:10, 1:12. There was one state commissioner when I went for a visit to Gujarat, who was very scared because wherever I went as chief commissioner, I wanted people to organize a meeting, have accessible room. All the state commissioner was supposed to have an accessible room. So his room was not accessible. So he created a ramp, very steep ramp. I went, held his hand, and I said, "Can you please walk with me on it?" He was scared. I said, "You can't walk, and you are expecting a wheelchair person to use this ramp." Now this is what we have to do to advocate how we can create barrier-free environment. We have to develop teaching material also. There again we need technology, assistive devices, linkages between preschool and primary education, provision of adequate resources. Vivaji is looking at me, I am trying to be very, very brief. There is inclusion which is so easy and people still feel it's very difficult. The visually impaired, for example, if you give them mobility training, teach them how to write in Braille, they can easily be sent to a regular class. Orthopedically challenged, give them assistive devices, whatever they need, calipers, crutches, wheelchairs, you can send them to a regular class. Those who have less decibel hearing loss, they can be given hearing aids and sent to regular class. And those who are profoundly deaf, lip reading, communication, total communication, sign language, all these things, the idea is to make them lead a life of equality and dignity. The mild and moderate among speech and hearing also have no problem, but profound also can be integrated. The intellectually delayed, for example, again with assistive devices are included subject-wise in a slow process so that they are able to enjoy. What we do is, initially we have special sections, but later on, subject-wise and as per ability, we integrate them into regular classes. And the results are very good. It is real tapasya, but very satisfying. The CBSE also allows assistive devices nowadays, talking calculators, computers, talking pen, and many other concessions at the time of examination. Blind, for example, are given 1 hour extra. Even writers are allowed. The skill development does not end to just leading a life of skills. It is many things put together. Olympics has been instrumental in developing skills. Olympics is having nothing to do with sports. It is Olympics of abilities, abilities in vocational skills. This was introduced in 1981 by Amar Jyoti, and now it has become a national movement. And through these Olympics, we have competitions in 48 vocational skills. You'll be happy to know that I took one visually challenged student. It was a team of 21 Indian participants, and one individual with visual impairment took part in computer operations, and he got the gold medal. Now this was unbelievable. So this is something which we need to understand, and I would like to suggest just a few points how to promote this usage of technology. Training of trainers should be organized on a regular basis. Special concessions and reforms in examination system. Sensitization at the university level. Media also should highlight the potential of persons with disabilities and create the necessary public awareness. The gist of the whole thing is, too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. That is all education is for. Thank you very much. If a chairperson allows, we will have just 4 minutes film, otherwise we can skip it.